Hey guys, before we do this video, real quick, give me a second. It's Chassis, they're back. This is the most successful ad campaign I've ever done. Why? Because I get to talk about my balls. That's why. Chassis is a powder, okay? It's for your balls. It's not for your feet. It's not for babies, okay? It's not chalk. There's no talc in it. There's no menthol. There's no parabens. I don't even know what a paraben is. It sounds bad. I don't want it on my balls, okay? Chassis is hydrophobic powder. That means when your sweat touches it, it rolls right off. It keeps things dry even when they shouldn't be. It's brilliant. I love Chassis. It lasts a real long time too. You don't need much of it. I've been doing these ads for 2 years now, and I'm only on my second bottle. A little goes a long way, folks. Hit the link in the description. I love Chassis. Everyone I show it to, everyone I gives it to, loves Chassis. I bring it to the racetrack. Everyone's asking me for it. Everybody. It's crazy. Hit the link. I got it for you. We love the stuff. Now enjoy the video. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Malibu. Beautiful sunrise here, and this is a car that everyone seems to love to hate. It's the 2018 Tesla Model 3. This is the long-range version. It's not the performance version with the dual motor. People are just starting to drive those now, and I haven't gotten a press car from them yet. Those are brand new. This one's from Turo. Turo is a peer-to-peer car renting service, sort of like the Airbnb for cars. I rented this from a man named Dimitri who lives in LA for $105 a day. So this car, as spec'd in the gray with the 19-inch wheels, Continental tires, long-range, non-autopilot model, is around $53,000. So I'm going to focus a little less on the hardcore canyon aspect of this car than I am some of its other aspects, but we are going to go for a drive. Before we do, just talk about this cabin real quick. Minimalist, absolutely. The central kind of iPad-like tablet being the only real control, but and that takes some getting used to, and I'll talk about it, but overall, I love the cabin in here. It's the right size. It's airy. There's a great big greenhouse. The visibility is good in all directions. The windshield goes up high, transitions into the glass roof. The glass roof can get a little warm on hot days, but overall, the use of space in the cabin, the size of the trunk with the front trunk, the use of a center console space with cup holders, sort of the layout and positioning of everything is really good. It's really good. It's a really nice place to spend your time. So I'll keep talking, but let's go for a drive. We're gonna go into our driving menu first. You have some options from you can set your acceleration to either chill or standard. We're gonna go standard for canyon driving in the city. I use exclusively chill, which just dumbs down the throttle a little bit, and it makes it nice. You have 3 modes for steering. It doesn't change the ratio, it just changes the weight. I leave it in the middle. And we're gonna use standard regenerative braking. If we were going on a long highway trip, we could turn the regenerative braking down and get more coast out of it. But in the city, I use like 90% regen braking, and I only touch the brake pedal for between 0 and 4 miles an hour, or I should say 4 and 0 miles an hour. All right, now we're driving. 50 kilowatt motor. When you fill up the juice, it is, in theory, worth 280 miles. I have found in my week with the Model 3 that is pretty accurate. And if you drive like a normal person and not with a super heavy foot, this thing is incredibly efficient. It weighs around 4,000 pounds, but like the Model S and Model X, the battery pack is basically a skateboard underneath the body of the car. So although it is a heavy thing, it's dense, it's not a big car, and 4,000 pounds is a lot. That low CG really makes it feel both more nimble and more light than it actually the weight would lead you to believe. It's actually an incredibly nimble vehicle. It's also the right size. I think compared to the Model S, the Model 3 is a better size for city use. It's easy to park, it's easy to see, it's easy to maneuver. There's not a lot of extra bulk on the car. It doesn't really give up a ton of space in terms of the Model 3 versus the Model S. It still fits 4 adults very comfortably, even 5 if you had to. The driving experience is lovely. I love electric cars. I love how they drive. I love using the regenerative braking a lot to recover that energy, slow the car down, but it's a very refined experience to drive with 1 foot most of the time. Of course, up here in the canyons, I do have to use the actual brakes, but in the city, just running errands and stuff, 90% of my driving is with 1 pedal. Speaking of brakes, the good news is they seem to be pretty good after that little update, I guess Elon did. This car was built sort of in the first 3 months of 2018, so it is a bit of an older build as far as Model 3s go. Dude, this car's fast. Like, I don't know what the exact 0 to 60 is. I haven't looked it up, and frankly, I don't care, because when you start getting into like the 3s and stuff, it's just it's really, really fast. And if you're not racing, like, what's the difference? To me, if the car feels fast, if you punch it and it feels fast, if you can make that pass, squirt around that car, maneuver the way you need to maneuver, it's good. And this thing, get up and goes. I mean, obviously, the no drama. The best thing about, electric cars is there's no such thing as really beating on them. They don't feel stressed. They don't feel. You can almost feel it when an engine is working hard. With this car, it never actually gives you the impression that it's working hard. And so, it is really, really nice, and it is really, really fast. Obviously not as fast as an S or an X100D, but it goes. And it also presents pretty rear-wheel drive dynamics. Through a corner, it handles, it is rear-wheel drive, but it's not different dynamically than other rear-wheel drive cars. Plus, we're quiet. We're in Malibu today. I don't need to be in the Angeles forest because I'm not waking up all these nice people. Wow, I got a little unsettled there and a little jiggly. These Continental tires are gonna, they're gonna scream a little bit. That's all you're gonna hear. In Malibu, I'm not gonna be waking up the neighbors. Yeah, that's not bad. I don't love Continental tires. These are the Pro Contact something or others. It does really scoot out of a corner, though. I like that. Carousel number 1. The steering is quite video gamey. Not a lot of feel. Fortunately, with the car being so quiet, you can really listen to the tires talking to you. The rear end is definitely wallowing a bit as I push it a little harder. Not a sports car, I'm going to say. Ooh, traction control kicking in a bit there and kind of killing the action. Oof, that was a raw... Lovely. Okay, so let me say this. As I have said, I think twice in this video already, I've really, really enjoyed the Model 3. It's been a really nice car. About the touchscreen, when I got in the car at first, I thought I was gonna hate it. I really did. But the learning curve was like nothing. But by the end of my first 10-minute drive, I had figured out pretty much how everything works. The nav is great. the climate control system with its infinite adjustability and the way you can move the vents around by dragging the point, like almost like you're setting up your stereo, is brilliant. There are a few things about this car that are like, oh my god, the rest of the world needs to get on board with this wireless updating and that kind of stuff. There's some other stuff where I go, I gotta guess it. Now, because I'm on Turo, I'm not using the app, right? So the app is typically your key. Your phone is the key, okay? Because I'm on Turo, don't have the app. I have this card, which looks like a credit card and is fairly janky. You can see that some of the letters are coming off of it. And I originally was like, oh, great, keep the card in the wallet. But no. You have to physically touch the card against the B-pillar to get in the car and then against the center console to start it. So the convenience of a card is completely outweighed by the inconvenience of having to take that card out of your pocket with great frequency. I'm then told by Mr. Alex Roy, who knows a lot about these things, that the card has a habit of messing up a lot, and so the owners typically will have the card and the app because you may need one as a backup. Okay, that's kind of annoying and a little dumb, but it's not that bad. Also, the stereo, which I'm told there's only one available stereo in this car. It stinks. It's not loud. There's no bass. They should really find a better stereo. Okay, things that I absolutely love. The ride. The ride is really nice. Now, although we did just see some wallowiness back there on some really aggressive mid-corner bumps, typically on these sort of meandering back roads as well as in the city and on the highway, the ride quality is really, really good. If I hit like big hard-edged bumps, I can hear a little clunking from the suspension. Now, I don't know if that's just because I don't have an engine and I can't hear that, and so I'm just hearing more things. My Ford Focus RS has made some of those similar noises, and it wasn't broken, and so it's possible that's just how it works. Are you turning off? Oh, delightful. But I have heard a couple of those little clunking noises. But the ride quality itself, I feel like, balances a good line between a sporty feel and actually having some give and smoothing out of the rough stuff. It does the 405 like really well. Nope, that's my camera case in the trunk. Sorry. Now the worst part of the car, okay, by far, is the fit and finish of panel gaps. Some of them are inconsistent. The panel gaps are different sizes on from one side of the car to the other. It's not consistent. In my garage, it's lined up next to my 2001 Mercedes, and 17 years ago, Mercedes convertible panel gaps were much, much better. That's the bad news. So they're still working on that. Again, this car was an earlier build. Newer cars, I'm told, are mostly better. The interior materials, I'm not talking about design now, I'm talking about materials, are approximately what you would get with like a $32,000 Chevy Malibu. That's what the quality of the leather, the stitching, the plastics, and the rubbers feel like in this car. Now, don't be insulted. Don't get defensive, because I was just in a $32,000 Malibu, and it was way nicer than a base Mercedes CLA or a base Audi A3 or even, I think, well, not the cheapest BMWs, but definitely nicer than the base CLA. So what you have is a $53,000 car, right, with the interior materials quality of like a $35,000 car. Now, that's not so bad, okay, because A, Tesla hasn't been building cars for very long, and they're still working on this, and B, it pays in other ways, okay? This car does other things that a Malibu can't do. It's refined in other ways. Same reason you get a $30,000 level of interior in a $55,000 Mustang. Same kind of thing, because you're getting horsepower. That's your trade-off. Here, you're getting the tech, the software, you're getting the potential for Autopilot if you get that $5,000 option, and you're getting something that updates itself and doesn't use gas. So here's your trade. This car, as it sits, is like 53 grand. I think that's pretty good, actually. I think this is a really nice car. I'm returning it in 2 hours, and I'm actually really gonna miss it. I've really enjoyed my time with this car, and I find it to be not as a canyon car, not as a race car. I have no desire to take one to the track. Going to the office, getting groceries, running around the city, the Tesla Model 3 is a lovely place to spend your time and a lovely egg to commute in that is definitely interesting enough, different enough that if you're a car guy, if you're a gearhead or girl, that you can find this more interesting than a typical appliance car. And as a car person, you should really be able to appreciate it, and I think you will. So that's the Model 3. Thank you to Turo for hooking it up, because I did get it on Turo, but I didn't have to pay for it. They paid for it. Hit the link in the description to see what kind of interesting vehicles you can rent in your area on Turo. So thank you again to them for letting me do this. I will try to get the Model 3 Performance very soon, but this thing is pretty sweet, dude. If you can get over some of the panel gaps, if that's not something you obsess with, the rest of this car seems screwed together pretty tight, and it's a really nice thing to drive and a really nice place to spend your time. So thanks, and I'll see you later, and goodbye.